All right, we're recording. I think everybody can hear each other, and Omar can hear us. Welcome
Nope,
everybody to
his
Fear's Screen.
headset's on.
And today we have the Amazon's NFTs. Um, Lion Slayer, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm one of the three co-founders of the Amazon's NFTs. I have a background in business, and I've got three successful restaurants and a power washing company that I run, and then one buck. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm one of the other founders. I've got a background in programming as well as a little bit of financial background. Um, Fell in love with the crypto space about 2 years ago now. I kind of dived headfirst into it, and honestly, I would love to have this as my fucking full-time career. Sorry for the language, but just
No,
so
we
excited about
love we
this
love
space.
passion here. We love passion here.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got a lot of passion right here, man.
Which one of you is the gamer? Are you both gamers?
Oh, I've always been a gamer. But Gray is the one who has kind of designed and has started to build on the P2E game.
Okay.
He's not with us at the moment. I believe he has work today, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm thinking about maybe shifting my whole focus just just into gaming. No, I'm just kidding. But I used to be a huge
Oh yeah,
gamer, and everybody's waiting for the next P2E game that's basically really fun. I mean, that's what everybody's just waiting for, you know?
definitely. Have you ever heard of the game Slay the Spire?
Slate as fire or
Slay the Spire. It's kind of like a card roguelike tower farming game
Oh,
almost.
Slay the
And that's sort
Spire.
of what we're
Yeah,
trying
dude,
to go
I've
off
played
of.
Slay the Spire a
Yeah, yeah,
lot,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
I'm a very advanced Spire player, Slay the Spire. Yeah, absolutely. Keep going. Tell me more. Now
Love
I'm
to hear
excited.
that. Yeah, so we're kind of building our base idea off of that. So each NFT will have its own separate card. Each card has its own traits, and you can basically play them in a style against other people in a sort of battle environment. Um, and then on top of that, we're also going to be having different NFTs that act sort of like boosts, so like smoke bombs, potions, stuff like that. And so through that, you'll be able to fight your Amazons, whether it's one, whether it's in kind of a team environment, and the winner of that will win the wagered Amazon token. So it's direct head to head, winner takes all, except for a small, tiny portion of a cut that we're going to be taking all, of course, just to keep things working nicely. Also to add to the liquidity pool. And on top of that, we've actually been speaking with a bunch of other projects about potentially incorporating their NFTs into the space as well in the future. So something like AVAX Plus polls, we would have their polls available almost like mounts or like kind of separate entity from it. So you could fight your Amazon versus a boss bull or your Amazon versus whatever other projects are kind of reaching out to us right now.
That's exciting because what we're trying to do is build the Avalanche network up. We're trying to get a lot of collaboration between the NFT spaces in Avalanche in order to build the NFTs on Avalanche because there really isn't like a whole lot of NFT like Solana or Ethereum. There really isn't a whole lot of NFT sales on Avalanche at the moment, but we're looking to change that.
So
And that's
tell,
kind of why we're saying we're going to be the first blue chip NFT because our whole platform is built around the NFT community, the NFT space. The biggest thing with the liquidity protocol, absolutely any project that wants to will be able to add a level of liquidity uh, to their project. So instead of users having to buy and sell on a secondary marketplace, they can just mint a V token and sell it directly on an automated market maker, which just makes finding a floor a lot easier. It makes accessing the space easier for people who don't want to have to go through the whole auction ordeal. And then on top of that, you can also earn yield along the way if you wanted to by just staking those V tokens and adding to those liquidity pools.
Can we go back to the gameplay? I want to know
We got
all
it.
about um, um, tell me like the when I enter the game, is it going to be a wager? Is it going to be a lobby? Is it going to be like walk me through what this game is going to feel like in terms of the gameplay, setting up a match, the length of the match, sort of the inflection points and the strategies. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say I'm a gamer. I mean, I love games and I've got my eye out for sort of uh, all P2E games. I mean, I'm just tracking them. I'm gathering ideas, and I'm thinking maybe in the future um, we'll put all these ideas together and something will break through. So there will be a breakthrough game.
Definitely. Yeah, something that kind of goes mainstream, puts this on the map for people that are interested in the crypto sphere. I understand that. So starting a match, so yeah, it'll be a wager. So we're gonna have kind of different levels that you can wager on. And depending on the amount that you wager, it will be either a big battle or a small battle. So say that you just wagered like the minimum amount, it would be kind of a one-on-one, fairly quick match, not a lot of strategy to it. It would be mostly for people that are trying to learn the game and get into it and see what it's all about. But then as you move up the ranks and kind of start to vet more and more, that's when it kind of really shines because you can start building these big teams and kind of use all their different traits together. So, like, say one has a higher defense stat, you can put them on the front line as a tank. Say that one has a higher range stat, you can put them way in the back line, have them pick off the other opponents. So it's a very scalable game, depending on the amount of Amazon wagered and the kind of size of the battle itself. Um, and we also didn't want to make the game last too long per match, just because then people tend to lose interest. So for the smaller matches, somewhere probably around 5 minutes maximum would be kind of it. That's even on the long end if it was a one-on-one battle. But then as you get into the big team matches, it's probably closer to like 15 minutes or half an hour. And this would, of course, be real time. You'd be facing somebody else in direct PvP, which is kind of cool. And sorry, you asked about a few other things that kind of slipped my mind. Would you mind repeating that?
Sure. So you'll log into a DApp, right? And then I guess you'll connect your wallet, and will it have stats? Will it have options, or will it just be more along the line of a big button that says Find Match?
No, yeah. So we're definitely going to be building stats into it. We're going to be building, well, hopefully we plan on building in kind of like tracking aspects, so you can kind of see how many you've had so fun, who's done better, and build a strategy around it that way. We don't just want to make the game itself. We really want to make it into an actual like ecosystem, something that we could put on potentially a phone, or put it on Steam, something like that. Really expand that audience out and make sure that everything is really easy to use for everybody.
Hey,
Because obviously this is a very new space, and some games can get super confusing.
hey, Lion Slayer, can you chime in? Uh, is is his microphone sound okay? I'm trying to find out if it's on my end or yours.
Some of his words are cutting out. It was working fine earlier, and then it started cutting out.
Here, let me.
But all right.
How much of the
Oh,
game is on the blockchain, or is it only when the wagers are paid out?
Only when the wages are paid out. So we're trying to get like to start out. We're trying to just base it on the blockchain, so that way there's wagers done. So there's a tokenomics involved, and then once people start earning tokens, they can actually use those tokens to buy like he was saying on the Steam game. You can use those tokens to buy the actual game on the Steam game. Oh, one book's back.
Oh, okay. Let me pull them up.
All right.
And yeah, Erdem, I saw that your hand was up. We'd love to have your question and bring you on the stage. Do you guys want to do that now? He's impatient, and let's
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
that's
let's
fine.
pull him
We can do
on.
that.
Welcome, Erdem. He's here he is.
Hi, welcome. Hi
Hey,
guys,
how's it going?
thank you. What about you guys? It's okay? Everything is okay?
I can hear you okay. You might have to speak a little slow.
Okay. I would like to ask that about the investments that you want to make. I believe that the technology should some change in our lives. So I think uh, the investments that everybody in this section in this industry make the money in that way. I'm mostly wondering how you can make money for your players. In order to make more money for your warriors, you need to make appropriate, proper investments with the money you receive from them. What investments do you want to make with the money you earn from the NFT sales? Is that correct?
Definitely. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. So we don't know exactly how much or what percentage we will be investing, but we do have a percentage set aside for treasury investments. These are going to be things such as blue chip, like an AVAX purchase. So we would purchase a large amount of AVAX and we would pair that with some sort of stablecoin and put that directly into a farm because that earns yield daily, which is good. And kind of over time, we're able to cancel out the emissions that are coming off of the protocol through treasury investments. And kind of once you hit this neutral state, then it's all just growth from there. So the more money that you're earning on the side through treasury investments, the more money can be put into the protocol and the more money that can be rewarded to the players. So we don't want to do too risky investments with a huge amount of money because obviously this isn't our money we're working with. This is the community's. So off the bat, we'll go for safer investments. And then down the line, kind of as we build up our treasury, we'll be structuring the portfolios similar to an investment banker. So we'll have high risk assets, low risk assets, medium risk assets, and those will be going through a monthly audit to see kind of how those are doing. Do we still believe in these projects? Are they making us money? And then kind of based off that, we'll be able to flip and reevaluate and change what our plan is in general. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yes, it is makes sense, but you know, the some guys making the mining for uh, the money that you receive from the sales. But you know, everyone can do it. Everyone can stake their tokens in the yield yard, these kinds of platforms. I'm just want to see the differences in these play to earn games. You know, for
Oh,
example, you know something different I want to see. Just that's what I'm looking for actually. Because mining is good, I think, but it is also it's about um, it is about the coin air. I don't know. It's about the coin industry again. So something different I want to see. Just yes.
so I think he's asking is like what we're going to be doing to invest the coins. Like, what are we going to be doing with the money on our end to grow our ecosystem and our tokenomics and stuff? Is what
Not
he's asking.
yes. I am asking this, but not about just the game that you want to make. I mean, about the whole structure, whole Bitcoin market, something different. What you guys think, we can make.
So, speaking about that, so something that's different that we're doing. So later on down the road, probably it's going to probably take us about a month or two to develop the game and everything like that. We've got most of it going already, but further on down the line, what we're going to be doing is building a roll-up subnet for Avalanche. So where we currently have an application in with Avalanche to get our own subnet for our own ecosystem. And we're going to create our own subnet decentralized exchange to where people can buy and sell tokens and coins on our subnet exchange only for the subnet coins. So like DeFi Kingdoms has their own, they're building their own subnet on the Avalanche network. Well, they need a place to take those coins on their subnet to exchange them. And that's what we're building towards, is getting an exchange for all of the subnet tokens that Avalanche is making for future use. And then we are also going to be using the treasury to hire artists to build an actual game, like he said, for Steam and get them collaborating and stuff like that. So those are the kind of investments that we are going to be making towards the future with the treasury.
That's cool, man. Thank you.
Yep, not a problem.
Thank you so much for the
And I
question,
see
Odom.
Kosu was asking about our. Yeah, thank you. I see
You're
Kosu was asking
welcome.
about our hiring process.
We've
So
got
it's not.
oh,
We have been.
let me see here. I was listening
Sorry.
so intently that I missed out on um, oh, I see. He's speaking in French. Can you go ahead and read that for us and translate it for us?
Sorry, which one are you talking about? I think he also put one in English, kind of saying what's our hiring process, where do we look for recruitment. So we don't look for anybody that's not with an agency already. We like to build the trust that way. So currently we're working with a company called FreeFlow to hire our developers. And FreeFlow is a trusted cryptocurrency slash blockchain development team. So what they do is they outsource, yeah, no LaborX, no Fiverr. We stay far away from that crap. That's not okay. We're trying to build a battle tested protocol with developers who have been doing this for years and years. We have a few options currently, all of which have over 5 years of experience in Solidity programming, in blockchain in general, both front end and back end. So we'll slowly be building up a roster of developers because that's the biggest, most important thing. How are we going to make any progress if we can't develop it? What do I define for years and years? Since 2015. Well, that's basically how early most of them are. They've all been building protocols for a long time. I could put a list in chat for you, just taking a second to get there. We're also speaking with the developer of BitBay, if you've heard of BitBay.
So the developer of BitBay was actually the man who created the smart contracts for blockchains on Python, the original smart contract for Python. That's who we have as a developer for our contracts.
Yeah, so he's doing the liquidity protocol currently. And at the moment the game is kind of a mixture of me and Gray, and then we're getting kind of art components on top of that, and we're going to hire a actual battle tested developer to audit the contracts, make any changes that are necessary. What's this? Sorry.
Okay.
Hello, guys. Can you?
Omar is here. Omar is runs his own AMAs, and yeah, I heard you, Omar, and he's got some questions for you guys as well.
Perfect.
All right, let's go for it.
Thank you. Thank you for Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you for the quick introduction. So I have some questions. It's really quick questions. So the first one will be: I was reading your server and your white paper, and I saw you guys are not getting KYC, at least not before launch, nor audit. So I was
We
wondering, and you guys are not docs, right? So I'm wondering, like,
no,
We are
for the
what
reason that we're
piece
not
of
doxing.
credibility will you give to your community?
I
Because
mean,
there's
the
just so
way
many rug pulls in the current state of the market. It's just so difficult to trust the project.
no, I definitely understand that. And I think if you stuck around for a little bit, you see that we're very open. Anybody that DMs me, I answer within like 10 minutes if I'm awake, because we're really trying to build up this community first before we launch anything. Show people we're real people. We want to be in this space. We have a plan that we're trying to execute.
I
We
can't.
are planning on doing KYC through Assure DeFi. However, it costs about $4,000 all in. So that will be a part of our marketing budget. We'll be putting it straight into KYC so people can easier trust us. The reason that we don't want to dox is because a lot of projects that have doxed, their developers, their owners get hundreds and hundreds of death threats prior to launch. That's really not okay.
the
It's really
best.
not
The
safe.
best one is Red Light No District. One of the founders that doxed actually had to turn over evidence to the FBI over death threats, dude. Like it's
It's a
crazy the
really
amount of
space out there right now. And so we
yeah.
kind of wanted to get a protocol out. The KYC is just an extra layer of security for people after we've launched to show them, like, look, this. It also only takes 24 hours to come out. So as soon as we have the money, we'll be putting that application in and be putting it right onto Twitter, right on everything, showing people, look, we're here to stay. Um, but yeah, we want to avoid doxing at the start because before you go mainstream, it's just very dangerous. You don't have all the regulations put in place. You don't have all the proper teams in place, right? So everything kind of falls on you. And that can get very stressful for a team of, well, right now, 3 people. But in the future, we plan on expanding. And that would make it a little bit easier for us to be the figureheads and then have our team underneath us as the actual developers and the people working on the project. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely does. So thank you for answering that. That's perfect. So another question I had. So let's talk about a bit tokenomics. I heard you guys were talking about that. I was reading through your white paper that you guys are planning to give out 200 to 400% APR, and you guys are not planning to be without Ponzinomics, right? That we have seen in these projects and that never last. So I'm wondering, since you mentioned you're planning to invest the treasury money into some protocols, I would like to know, like, which protocols you guys like, what's the idea, right? Because of course probably you guys don't want to disclose which ones you're going to invest in, but at least we need to know, like, what kind of risk and where is that money heading to, because if we're going to get a 400% return, which is like super high return, we need to know how that will work.
Of course. So I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but we're going to be structuring it in sort of an investment portfolio style. So we'll have a mixture of high risk, low risk, and medium risk assets, all of which will be providing yield on the daily. So through things like LPs, yield farms, etc., we'll be able to gradually offset any emissions coming out of the protocol with treasury profits coming in. And once we hit that neutral state, then from there, it's all just growth of the protocol. All the money that we're earning, we can put back into the protocol, whether it's offsetting emissions through buybacks and burns, whether it's hiring more developers, etc. And I think Lion can touch a little bit more.
Yeah. So, as I said, when we develop the subnet, our token will be used for the gas fees part of the for inflation. So once we establish the subnet with the centralized exchange and building our ecosystem around the subnet, our token will be deflationary, where people will use the token as a gas fee. Like if you go to the Avalanche network, you have to use AVAX for gas fees. Well, our token will be used as a gas fee built into our subnet. So it'll also help with emissions.
All right, that's perfect. Thank you for both of your answers. And I have a last one. You probably guys have answered this before, but I just want to hear it like another time so I can be sure. Like, I was really looking into this one, and I was wondering, what do you guys feel is the main differentiator your project on the gaming side, right? Because we have projects like Axie Infinity, people choose use it to make money. So what's your like what differentiates you from the rest of the market? Why will people buy these NFT games instead of any other?
I think the biggest thing is we plan on making it super addicting. Like it's going to be a game that people love to play. And then on top of that, they're also going to be earning a return off that. So how do you beat that, right? You have this game that, and then on top of that, there's also a monetary reward to it. Like that's quite unseen. And obviously, there's a lot of games coming out that are just fairly surface level. Like you would put your NFT in, you'd stake it, and it would do some little animation on the screen, and that's about it. But we really want to make it an interactive game where users have to kind of learn a strategy, develop their team up, and over time build their own strategies on how to win in these fights and how to better make money. So yeah, it's going to be very addicting. It's going to not be very surface level at all. It's going to be a super deep game. We're going to be building lore into it. We're going to be building a storyline.
So
It's going to be a big game.
is
There's a
it a
lot to it.
deck building
And
roguelike?
also,
Is it a deck building game?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and
It's sort of. So the NFTs themselves are used as cards, and these cards can basically battle against other cards
oh my
in.
God, I'm such a nerd.
It's
Everybody else
similar
is
to Slay the
asking
Spire, how
about
you have like a certain amount of energy per turn
everybody
that you
else
can
is
play.
asking about tokenomics and future plans, and I just want to hear about the game. You know, I'm such a gamer nerd.
Yeah, man. Well, that's the most fun part, right?
That's what I'm looking for.
No,
I'm
I
looking
feel
for a fun game to play. I feel like if the game is fun, it will succeed. That's my feeling on it.
for sure, for sure. And it's gonna be like, so you stake the NFT with the, it's like a card, but it'll come into like a 3D render to where you can actually see the Amazons on like on a battlefield. It's not just like a card game and then the battle and then the cards hit together. You know what I mean?
You said you stake the card, and then you'll get like a pack of
not like
cards,
stay.
or go ahead.
No, so you can like play the card down, and after you play the card down, it'll pop up a 3D rendering of it.
So
And
it's
then
like Yu-Gi-Oh, where they play the
yeah,
card down and then like the dragon, like the blue eyes white dragon comes out and you can see it like in the field being played.
I see. So how is it like Slay the Spire? Can you keep going with that analogy?
yeah. So I mean, it's similar to Slay the Spire in the way that kind of you have a certain amount of energy per turn that you can play, and you have these cards that you can play. And similar to Slay the Spire, how you have to kind of build your deck around a certain strategy or a certain mechanic, say block mechanic, poison, etc. We're going to be implementing that in as well. And then kind of the Yu-Gi-Oh idea is more of just like an example for the rendering of the actual cards themselves. These it's not going to be exactly like these. We're just kind of trying to pick games that are similar, so you have a sort of idea that you can picture in your head. Um,
Well, I didn't play
Sorry, I
Yu-Gi-Oh,
wish I could
but I
tell you a
can
lot more
totally
about this array. It's
imagine
like it's huge.
what he's talking about in terms of like you play the card, the 3D render sort of comes out of the card and is now on the field. But I'm more of a theoretical guy. Like, um, you know, you're gonna have a deck of cards. You said it's a deck builder, sort of, but then you also have the mint. I mean, what's the connection between the mint and the deck of cards that you'll have?
So each NFT is going to be their own card with their own traits, their own weapons, their own buffs, debuffs, etc. So that's kind of how the mint links into the game itself.
So
So
how many
you
cards do you need to play?
ideally you could go with as little as one if you'd like to. You could just do one NFT, and it would just fight the other person's NFT in kind of like a one-on-one head-to-head battle. But then we're also
What's the
implementing an
most
option to have
cards
kind
that
of
you can
big
have
team.
on the board at once?
Well, we're thinking about five currently. We haven't put a hard cap on it, but five seems to be kind of a good middle ground where people don't have to spend a huge amount of money to get into these big battles, but then they can also benefit from it as well.
Does this mean that if you only have one card, would you ever be matched up against somebody that had five cards?
No, so everything would be equal. You wouldn't be placed up against people that have kind of a more OP deck than you do, or like four different people where you only have one, because that's not fair. So we would have it in small battle 1-on-1, medium battle say 3v3, and then large battle 5v5. So it'll be a few different options people can pick from, and then they can wager a certain amount on top of that, and that will better help us kind of narrow down the matchmaking itself. So you would pair up a one-on-one with somebody who's betting five Amazons, and that would kind of create this whole pool of people that are looking to play. You get put into a matchmaking system and then pop into your game when it's ready.
What what level of development are you on with the P2E game? I know you guys have a lot of art assets for the cards, but beyond that, how far along are you?
So we've started development. We're kind of working on the overall structure of the game itself right now, how everything will function, and that's just through JavaScript, and then the actual contracts themselves will be through Solidity. So it's not too tough to have them and interacting with each other. Currently, I would say maybe about 20% done. We plan on having it out, a beta out at least in a month and a half to 2 months maximum, just so people can see like, look, we have this game ready to go. And then before actually doing a full release, we can bug test. Um, People can kind of take a look, see if they like it, make suggestions, and then we can from there.
Yeah, I understand. How community focused are you going to be? There's sort of two different philosophies. I mean, one philosophy says the community is here because they like the direction that we're going in, and the other philosophy sort of says let's let the community steer the ship as much as possible. I mean, where are you guys in that spectrum?
We're somewhere in the middle. So obviously at the start, it needs to be more on the developers for getting everything going, choosing the right direction to actually get things off the ground. But as we progress, we of course would love to implement some sort of governance into the actual protocol itself, so people can vote on directions, they can vote on events, kind of whatever that they'd like to, or whatever. Especially investments. Actually, a big thing is we're going to be asking our community for their ideas and investments as well. Um, so we are very community focused, but at the same time, we also do need to take a level of governance ourselves, just to double check that everything that we vote on will be proper.
Has anybody looked at what Gosu said? He seemed to have an important question, but I've been here talking to you guys, and I can't really like divert my attention that much to read what he said.
Oh, you're okay.
But I don't know. No, I
I
mean
think he was asking.
he posted a lot of content. I can't read all that not during the AMA. But if Omar or Roboto or Lola or SB or somebody wants to bring in Gosu, because Gosu had to go.
He left. Yeah, he left, and
He
I
had to
don't know
go.
where I.
He was busy. He's busy guy, and he had to go. He came on stage to talk, but he only had like 2 minutes. So, but he asked a question, and I know it was about hiring, but then he posted a lot of like screenshots, and I'm just wondering if somebody wants to analyze that because he did take the time to ask you guys. It looked like a detailed question. I didn't really understand it because it was in French,
Yes,
but
it looks like he removed the screenshots now.
oh
But he
really?
was asking about our hiring process. How do we find our developers?
He deleted the
Oh,
screenshots.
see, I
But
was
yeah,
talking to you guys. I wasn't reading the chat, you know what I mean? So I just anyway, sorry to interrupt you guys.
no,
But
you're
the screenshots are just like FUD. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
This is
I think he
Lola,
was
by the way.
taking
She's been
pictures
helping
of
me out a lot with these
developers.
AMAs, and she's also the co-founder of a brand new DeFi
The
project
Cash Club.
called the Cash Club. We have an AMA with them on the 17th at noon Eastern time. Um, anyway, I just wanted you guys to know. Sorry I didn't introduce her earlier.
Oh,
You're
that's
fine.
okay.
I think what he was saying was, are we going to be using Fiverr, because there was a lot of FUD regarding the Fiverr developers and how the Fiverr guys can cheat the system using the contracts that they develop themselves. I think that's what he was more worried about.
And to answer that, we are not using Fiverr. We're not using LaborX. We're using professional agencies that have gone through vetting, that have been battle tested, and have good developers on their team.
Okay, so are you guys funding the development yet, or are you waiting for the mint?
So we have funded some of the development, but for the big kind of development push to get everything finished off, we will be waiting for the mint and putting part of the profits into that for development costs.
Is the fact that it's a 10,000 mint, um, you know, I guess this is a question that's tied with another question. How many cards does a person have to mint to be competitive? I mean, is this going to be like Hearthstone, where it just some I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? In Hearthstone,
Pay to
you need
win, you
like
mean?
you need like five
I know
thousand
exactly what
bucks.
you're saying.
You need like 5,000 bucks if you want to be competitive for like a long time. And then
Yeah.
I don't even know. I mean, I haven't tracked Hearthstone for years, but it was the case that if you wanted a good deck, it was like 800 bucks. And if you wanted to have more than one good deck, which you needed to, so that you could evolve with the meta, then you were talking probably a lot more than that, maybe 5 or 6 times more. Anyway, I think you see what I'm saying. Can you talk about that?
Oh, I do, yeah. So we definitely want to make it really accessible to people who don't have a huge amount of money to spend. So kind of as I touched on earlier, we will have that like one-on-one battle. So people that do want to just buy one card, kind of learn about the game, see if they like it, see if it's for them, they'll be able to do that, and it'll be fairly cheap, right? Our mint price currently is $80. So for 80 bucks, you could put yourself right in there, get ready to go right away. And then past that, kind of if people are wanting to spend more, we will have options for that too.
Can I
So kind of it depends on how much we. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't, yeah, I mean, I don't want to be that guy that says, "Why don't you have this feature?" or "Why don't you have that feature?" Because I get that myself, and I know the answer. Um, but do you think that it's possible that you guys would have sort of sort of a basic free card that would be like extremely limited, but that way people could experience the software and could experience the matchmaking and could experience basically a free version of the game that would inspire people to want to say, I gotta have the full feature. You know, I gotta have the full game. Let me go ahead and mint my first Amazon. Is that something that you've talked about or thought about?
We have actually talked about it a little bit, and we were thinking about it. And I love that you brought that up actually. So because we have the two aspects, the one with the NFTs and then the one with wagering the Amazon itself, there won't be a fully free way to do it, but we will have kind of like a base starter set of cards people can choose from, try out the game with, and then wager on those instead. And those would only be facing other people that are using the same cards. So everything would be fair, everything would be on the same level,
That's awesome. That's
and
a
it
great
would
answer.
definitely cut down costs.
Yeah,
Beauty.
that's awesome. I'm sure a lot of people will give it a try when if you know if that's the case.
Yeah, well, I really hope so. I think we're making something really, really fun here that people are going to love. Um, it'll definitely have its own little cult following of people who are super into it, but we really want to make it go mainstream.
Well, so how
And I
many
see in
cards
chat,
does a person have
Rudum,
to mint to be competitive?
well, I guess it depends on which tier that you're trying to fight in. Obviously, the more the better because you can kind of build your deck around that. But the cool part is with the secondary market, all these different traits will have their own pricing, right? Everybody's going to be looking for something different. One person might want a higher defensive stat, another person might want a higher offensive stat. So it really designs this cool interaction between the players and the protocol itself, where people are constantly looking for the next best card to fit inside their deck.
Forgive me for saying this, but how does the P2E game um, mix with the secondary token marketplace, or are these two different time frame ideas?
Sorry, secondary token marketplace. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
too
was a
sure
little
what you mean by
confused.
that.
Lion Slayer, I think
I think he meant the subnet.
Subnet, yes.
Oh, the
Yeah,
sub.
so the
Yeah,
sub.
so the subnet. Go
I'll
for it,
let
Lion.
you go ahead. Nope, go ahead.
Okay. Basically, the subnet is just kind of like horizontal expansion, right? So you can build a subnet, and now all of a sudden your gas fees are all in your own token, which adds a level of deflationary aspect to it. It also means that there's another layer of security on top, another layer of safety for investors, and it's also generally faster from what Avalanche is saying. So transactions will go through quicker. Um, Sorry, you
They'll
can take a
also
little
be
more line.
cheaper for transactions.
Much cheaper because there's less congestion on the themselves. Plus, people can now play the game, wager their Amazon, win their Amazon, and then this Amazon instantly has a use case in terms of being used as gas, in terms of being used for more wagers. Um, it really is the option to go. We've been thinking about it a long time, and having this subnet is just huge for any protocol. It shows you that these protocols are serious, that they actually have an idea behind their project, and that they want to build up the Avalanche network to kind of make everything work out beautifully.
So give us, I know that this is on your website, but give us the timeline again, like with some estimates. What's the very next step after the mint?
So right after the mint, our first thing will be the NFT liquidity protocol. So that's similar to NFTX, if you've heard about that.
NFTX?
Basically, users, yeah. So NFTX is on the
Oh yeah,
Ethereum
this is
chain
where you
currently.
can stake
What you can do,
fractional NFTs, right? Like you can buy. I'll let you go ahead because I think I'm actually wrong. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, you're close. You're close. So what you can do is you can take your NFT, create a vault, and then deposit it into the vault itself. And then through that, you're able to mint a V token. And these V tokens are ERC20 tokens, so that means that they're fully tradable. There's a liquidity pool behind them. And so users can now trade and swap their NFTs through an ERC20 token, and then reclaim an NFT after they've bought or sold, etc. It also adds options for people to swap an NFT for another NFT on the protocol, just direct swap. So it really just helps find better floor pricing, and it makes the ease of access a lot easier for people.
Yeah. I think I'm starting to get it now. Um, the subnet is going to benefit Amazon NFTs, but then also you'll be able to sell your product to other projects.
Exactly. Yep. Um, and kind of having this deep liquidity pool on your NFTs, users are just able to go to like Trader Joe, pop it in, sell it off, and then buy a new one if they'd like to. And then on top of that, say that they want to hold it because they believe in the project. Now users can actually earn yield off their NFTs on top of what they're earning through the game. So it kind of sort of like a double dip. You believe in this project, you put in your common floor price NFTs to kind of bolster the liquidity pool, and you earn trading fees on top of that.
Well, let's talk about this wagering system. Um, let's say, for instance, that Amazon NFTs went mainstream beyond your wildest dreams. Would you have professional Amazon NFT players making a living through the wagering system?
Dude, I would love to see that. I mean, that's definitely what our plan is. Like, we want We want it mainstream enough that people can make a decent amount of money off it. We want it to be something that people can play and actually benefit from. So yes, I think down the line we could definitely do that.
How much is a typical wager gonna be?
Oh, that's hard to say because I think it depends on the kind of populace that's playing. I think our minimum price is going to be somewhere around like 2 Amazon or so. So it depends on the pricing at the time, but that'll likely be somewhere around $10 or so.
Oh, okay, I got you. And that game will take how many minutes did you say earlier? That match?
Anywhere between 5 to 15,
Are you
up
guys
to
calling it
30
a
if it's a
match?
bigger battle.
Oh, it could be up to
Yeah, we
30
are.
minutes. Wow. What is the max
Yeah, for
wager?
like the 5v5 big battle. We haven't actually thought about that just yet. We were thinking about having kind of a rollers sort of thing where people could bet pretty much unlimited, right? They would have to kind of find specific people to play against rather
Right.
than just putting it into the matchmaking system. But we haven't exactly thought about a maximum bet just yet.
So one concern that I'm having is about uh, I don't know how old you are. I mean, I think I can guess. But when I was growing up, there were some different websites that came and went. Newgrounds was one of them. There was a time when Newgrounds was hot.
Oh yeah.
There were so many good games and it was so much fun, but they always had the problem with hacking. So the leaderboards were like meaningless. They could just never stop people from hacking these games and getting like high score 99999 to infinity. And you'd have like typically you'd have 3 to 10 hackers on the leaderboard. Um, and if there's typically a leaderboard's only 10 people. So when you've got 10 hackers, it kind of sucks. But I understand that the wagering system is on chain, probably using wrapped AVAX if I had to guess. Um, but how are you going to stop people from hacking the off-chain portion?
Well, I mean, the big thing is that it's all kind of interlinked. So people will try to hack the off-chain portion, but it's not going to get them anywhere, right? Because the contracts are what matter most. The off-chain portion is mostly just the animations, the roles, etc. Whereas the on-chain portion, we're going to be having a bunch of security checks in place to make sure that everything is safe, it's battle tested, and people cannot influence the outcome of the actual battle itself without doing it legitimately.
It's going to be a challenge, I imagine. I think about GameFi a lot.
Oh, I know it will be.
I don't know. I assume you've never heard my AMAs before. I often talk about GameFi, and I am a big gamer. Or at least I haven't been much of a gamer in the last 4 or 5 years, but it's 'cause I'm an old man now. But I used to waste a lot of time with video games, and I still love them, and I'm always looking for the next big fun game. And I often wonder about whether or not I'll make a P2E game one day, and got a lot of ideas, but these security risks, I can't wait to see how you guys resolve them. And maybe, who knows, maybe one day, a couple years ago, or a couple years from now, I'll be coming to you guys looking for advisors, you know what I mean? Chair people and such.
Yeah, right. You never know. I hope so.
I hope so too. I hope that you
Um,
guys learn and become complete experts in this space with a great project to show for it, and a legacy, you know what I mean?
that's really what we're here for, right? We want to make something people love. Roboto asked, what's our marketing strategy? So currently we're doing Twitter influencers and we're bringing in people that way. On top of that, we're also doing press releases and kind of organic growth. Um, we really wanted to stay away from low tier, low quality, if you will, strategies such as like Discord mass DMing, stuff like that, like things that you don't like to see when you're investing in a project. So it's all about building up a big name for ourselves on Twitter and showing people like we're here, we're legitimate, we want to make this work. And so far, we've been at the top of hashtag AVAX for the past 5 days or so.
Oh, awesome.
So I think we're doing really well. Yeah.
What would you say to an investor?
I actually
Go
had a sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I just said I had a question. I'm not sure, one buck if you've mentioned it or not, but like, what is your background like prior to this? Like, do you have
Oh
any
yeah, so I
other
think I
experience? Any other
so not
experience or like
directly
projects?
in the crypto space, but I have worked for a long time, basically my whole life in the programming field as well as the financial field with my father. Um, so I have done
Oh,
a lot of stock market analysis and just kind of general day-to-day financial doings. And then on top of that, I just love to program. It's kind of been a lifelong sort of passion of mine. So it's a nice mix to see with the crypto space because that's exactly what it is. It's financial and programming, right? So it's the perfect fit for me.
right. Wow, that's cool that like you had your dad there too to like help you, you know. That's
Yeah, it
awesome.
was really nice. Yeah, because he's been in it his whole life, so who better to learn from, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Like he was your mentor pretty much for all of
Exactly.
it. That's cool. I really hope you do well with this project.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I really hope you do well with your project as well. I'll have to look into it a little bit more.
Yeah, stop by on the 17th
Yeah.
and check out our AMA with Cash Club. What would you guys, and Lola, you can answer this question too, as a project owner. What would you say to somebody who was a potential investor, and more than that, somebody who said, I am going to invest in your project, or maybe they have invested perhaps in a seed sale, and they said to you, um, I totally expect you to do mass DMs. Mass DMs do bring in investors, and if you have to mass DM 1,000 people to get one investor, then that's worth it. Uh, how would you respond to that?
So it's kind of the cost benefit analysis, right? Like you need to see what works for you and what doesn't. And we've been around for months now. I've myself put in a lot of my personal funds, just kind of testing out different things, seeing what works, looking at the conversions. And we noticed that mass DMing people brings in a lot of bots. It brings in a lot of low quality investors, is kind of what you call them, people that are going to sit around and not actually invest in the project. Through all this testing, we figured out that Twitter influencers actually kind of get your name out there onto Twitter. You get into the algorithm. So people that are interested in NFTs will see that, hey, look, there's this new NFT project coming out. We should go check that out. Um, and as of now, it's worked perfectly for us. It's exactly what we hoped it would be.
I think we gained like 3,000 followers in a matter of what is it, a week or two?
Yeah, not even
I
like
think
5 days.
yeah, like 5 days. Yeah.
Wow, congratulations and great
Yeah.
Roboto.
job, guys.
Oh,
For me, so since mine's still very new, we have my fiance and I both run it together, but he's the one that mostly speaks. He's the one that mostly does like all of like the important like posts, like announcements or just anything like that. For us, what really helped us out a lot was the fact that we were involved in Twitter Spaces a lot, and just from being in Twitter Spaces, he's gained I would say he's gained over at least 300 to 500 followers, and people seem to be very much interested in what we have to say or like what we have to offer. We just try to stick mostly with organic followers, but you know, getting involved in like different well, he's not really involved in much so in different crypto projects or DeFi spaces on Discord as I am. So for him, it's mostly just trying to get organic followers from Twitter, and then I try to get people interested from like just different Discord groups and like their shillings or whatnot. But that seems to work out a lot for us as well. And he shows
definitely.
people
Yeah.
like yeah, and like because we're sports, so we do sports mostly, but we also do crypto and stocks as well. But he'll show somebody like this is what I picked. This is how much I won, and then people will be like, "How can I join?" And we're mostly just invite only because of the fact that we have people that pay for our picks every single month. But we just don't want anybody in there that hasn't paid yet. Kind of like how Fear versus Greed has a section for paid subscribers, you know, or Cryptonaires has a section for paid subscribers. So we try to keep it as organic, and if people say like, yeah, hey, my payment went through, can I join now? Then we send them the link, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we've noticed as well, like AMAs and Twitter Spaces are huge. They're amazing because people can come in and directly ask you the question, and kind of hear your voice, see what you're about, and through that, we've built up a huge following as well. So yeah, no, I definitely agree. Twitter Spaces, AMAs, kind of telling people what you're doing in person is the best way to do it. Sorry, I
And
just want
then
Right. I
they can get
agree
their
100%.
concerns covered. Yeah, and they can get their concerns covered. Like if they have a question, they can just hop up and
exactly.
ask.
Sorry, I want to
Right.
cover a few
Or like
questions in
even on
chat.
Twitter too. Like on Twitter too, you can like people can just DM you as well if they have questions. And I answer a lot of questions through that because I turn off my DMs on Discord. So, but yeah, Twitter's like the best space, especially since there's a lot of more live voice chats going on within like Twitter Spaces. That definitely helps out a lot.
I'm just
So
gonna cover. No, go ahead, Line.
I was gonna say if Caraway had any more questions.
Yeah, I was just gonna cover a few more that were in chat really quickly.
Yeah.
So Roboto asked what our biggest challenge is right now. Biggest challenge is definitely getting people to see our project and want to invest, even though the market is so down right now. I think a lot of people are very hesitant to put money in right now just because things, obviously, the past few months haven't been going too well. But on top of that, I think no matter what, if you have a good project that has good fundamentals, it's going to be around for a long time. So I think just showing people that has kind of eased that challenge a lot. Zero Cool asked if we have a contingency plan if we don't sell out. Will we burn some of the collection or just let it ride? So we definitely do plan on burning some of the collection over time, regardless of if we sell out or not, just because that increases scarcity. It rewards our holders as well. And in terms of a contingency plan, we have kind of structured it in a way that we don't need to necessarily sell out to achieve our goals. We have a target in mind that we reach, and if we hit that, we're totally fine. And it's a very realistic target for what we're doing, so I'm not too worried about it. He also asked what kind of collaborations do we have on the horizon. I think Lion could touch a little bit more on that, but we're reaching out to projects such as Tight Now, Blueviture, which these projects have NFTs available, and we're going to be kind of directly reaching out and trying to get them to adopt our NFT liquidity protocol because it's a benefit to them, and then it benefits us in terms of just marketing and getting your name out there organically. And then lastly, Roboto said,
I want to touch a bit about that real quick. Give me a second. So as of right now, some of the collabs we have is I personally handle most of the collabs like with the big projects. So I have a phone call with Titano. I had one yesterday. I have another one Thursday, and we're discussing because they want to release NFTs and they don't know what blockchain to release the NFTs on. So I'm trying to talk to them about releasing it on AVAX to help gain momentum about the AVAX NFTs. Then we have also DeFi Kingdom, which they're building their own subnet. I'm in talks with them about getting their tokens and them signing a contract with us for holding all of their tokens on our decentralized exchange on our subnet. Then we have a couple different ones of the smaller groups that are already collabed with us. If you go over into our Discord, we have a whole bunch of list of our collabs in there.
sweet, awesome. And then lastly from Roboto, would developing a subnet be too lofty of a goal at this point without a proof of concept / product market fit of the game? So no, not really, because the subnet is kind of on that makes sure that your token is deflationary. It adds a level of speed and security as well. So through Avalanche, they're actually giving out like I think it's $15 million or something of grants for people just to develop a subnet if they believe in your project. So we applied a long time ago, and we've kind of been in talks with them ever since. And we really think that it would be a good way to show people like we're serious about this. We want to be around for a while, and this is the best way to do it, honestly, in my opinion.
And I don't know if you guys know about Ethereum expansion. So Ethereum expansion, what they're doing, a thing called is rollups. Well, ZK Club is pulling out rollups to help sustain the transaction per second for Ethereum. Well, what a subnet is it's pretty much what they're doing is a rollup. So not only will it add sustainability to their long-term expansion and growth, to add not so many gas fees to the actual token, like the Ethereum blockchain, but the way that Avalanche is rolling out these subnets, it'll eventually help. If they have so many subnets set up, it will actually reduce the stress on the blockchain itself with the rollups. So, like, I was talking to the founder of BitBay, or one of the co-founders of BitBay, and we had a long 3-hour discussion on rollups and subnets and all this other stuff. So with AVAX doing that currently building up subnets, the chances of what happened to Solana with the TPS hitting 4 million and the entire blockchain going down is very likely less to happen. And that's what actually brought us on to the topic of rollups and subnets. Was you can't be botted out of a blockchain if there is a wide expanse of subnets and rollups going out.
How technical is your expertise, Lion Slayer and or One Buck?
In terms of blockchain, I wouldn't say I'm a master. I wouldn't say I'm somebody that could like tell you everything there is to know, but I love learning about this, and I've done a whole lot of research into it. So I'm quite knowledgeable personally.
I guess.
And
Do
I
you?
mean, and with that being said, though, is we have such an expansive knowledge around us that we've built, like the co-founders and actual people developing on the blockchain, that we're able to pool all of this knowledge and make the best thing that we're able to based off of everybody else's knowledge, if that makes sense. So it's not so much that what we don't know, it's what we have access to as far as building on the blockchain.
Sure, of course. There's a wise man who once said that an educated man is not somebody who knows the answer to every question, but he knows how to find the answer to every question. And that's
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to build something that will be amazing towards blockchain technology, not just like developing a dApp on the blockchain. We're actually trying to build a better community within the actual structure of the blockchains.
Do you have you had any problems hiring? You know, Gosu had a good point. He talked about hiring process because we have a project called DreamFi, and also when I started Fear versus Greed, I did a hiring process. I literally interviewed like 25, I think it was more like 22. It was over 20 people, maybe 24 total, and it was tough. It was really tough. It was tough to choose. It was tough to weed people out, and it was tough to come to that sort of final decision. Talk a little bit more, if you don't mind. I know we're past the hour mark now, but talk a little bit more, sort of founder to founder, about, because I'm sure Lola is interested. She's going to have some hiring to do when their project grows. Um, about the whole process, the challenges, the joys, the pains, the struggles, the successes and failures of hiring. It's really a broad topic.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, we've had an interesting time, to say the least. Kind of as you said, I myself have interviewed countless people. Um, they all seem to be the best person out there for the job. They all really want to know exactly what to do, right? You need to talk with them in person, kind of ask them questions about themselves, their past experience, take a look at their past projects, and through that, you need to make a judgment call, which of course is not the easiest thing to do. But we're kind of lucky in the fact that we have a bunch of agencies that we've reached out to, and they put their own name on the line, basically saying that these developers are good. We trust them. We've seen them work before, and we know that these are people that you want to hire. So kind of going through that way, paying a little bit extra for the higher quality has just made our life super easy. Honestly, without
And
those agencies, it would be a struggle trying to find people that aren't just kind of telling you what you want to know, if you put it that way. These actually kind of let us have a look into what these people have done before, who they are in real life, et cetera, et cetera. And I think Lion was about to touch a little more.
yeah, and then so like
Uh,
it's especially as a founder, you have to make sure that you trust 100% the developers that are making your smart contracts, because if you don't, a lot of the smart contracts, the way that they're structured, it's just getting rid of exploits through the functionality of it. So if any developer can give you what you're asking for, it's just having time, that their knowledge, that they can see an exploit through the smart contracts. So like, I don't know if you guys seen recently that all that wrapped Ethereum that got stolen from Solana. That's the exploits that we're talking about. They have to be able to see those kinds of exploits coming prior to initializing the contracts, and that's a lot that you have to go into in depth with the conversations of hiring individuals.
Indeed.
Um, I had a question. So when you guys, and this goes for Lion, and this goes for One Buck. When you guys were going through everybody that put in an application that saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna work for you," I'm sure everybody had pretty much the same or similar like skill sets. What was like the one thing that what how did you decide who to pick and why you chose them? Like how did you narrow down the list?
Yeah,
So
give us the real deal.
a lot of it has to do with if people are actually interested in your project. So like, we had one guy telling us that they could do absolutely everything we asked for 10,000 US dollars. That's a lot of money. So we kind of like stretched out our hands a little bit and got other people to tell us stuff. And they weren't really interested in the project. They just wanted to get the money. So we hired people that were actually willing to not get paid in order for their services. And then if they did get paid, that was just a bonus. So like people that actually take their time, do the research, and want to care about the protocol more than just hiring, like getting the results that are true battle tested, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Tell me a little bit more about um this gentleman who said he could do everything. I mean, he wanted to build the subnet, he wanted to build, did he want to do it, build
No,
the
no, no.
game and the
So
subnet?
for everything for
No, that was just marketing.
liquidity protocol, no, that was, we had one for marketing that was like 25K, and then we had one for the liquidity protocol. He said he could do front and back end for 10K.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we kind of shopped it around a little bit. People were saying like that's really overpriced. We can do this for way cheaper, way quicker, and we actually like your project. So why don't we work together? So I think the biggest part was like we talked to a lot of these people one on one and kind of just got to know who they were. And if it seemed like a genuine person who you could trust, that really just helps you narrow down the options. And then past that, it's just looking at their past projects and seeing what has the best fit, what has the best style, kind of what looks the best to you. You know, it's a lot of judgment calls, which isn't easy, obviously, in this space because there's a lot of weasels out there. But through the three of us, we're pretty confident that anybody we do pick is the right person for the job
How fast do you get into a voice call with somebody who is applying for a job?
as soon as they want to.
Like step one?
We kind of No, so step one, we'll talk to them a little bit in just in kind of text chat. So we have answers written down, we have things to work off of, and they have an idea about our project. And then kind of step two would be to get in a call with them and just talk in person about it.
Yeah.
And then you can also tell, like, based on their enthusiasm about the project after we do that initial text chat back and forth, engage their level of responsiveness. Because I mean, if they get on the voice call and they sound like a robot, obviously they don't really care about what we're building. They just want to get the money for whatever they're doing.
Right. Have you guys ever had to fire anybody?
Great question.
Not as of yet, luckily. Well, nobody that's been like a big part of the team. We had a mod who kind of didn't really, he wasn't up to the quality that we wanted per se. So we paid him out and we asked him nicely, look, maybe this isn't the right project for you. Um, so yeah, that's kind of been it so far. I'm sure that in the future there will be other people that we have to, well, I wouldn't even say fire, just kind of ask to leave or mutually agree that it's better if we take our separate directions.
That's a nice diplomatic way of putting it. I like the old step into my office trick.
Yeah, let's have a conversation.
Step
I
into
mean,
my
that's the best way
office.
to go, because you get to know like who they are, what their intentions are, if they're even interested whatsoever in your project, and if they're here
Exactly.
to benefit you, your company, your business, or whatever. That's like the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to actually because I have some people. I'm a little biased, and I do have some people that are like close friends with my fiance that are mods, but that's because they're there, they're interested, and we do live voice chats, and they're always like in the voice chats participating as well. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I
And yeah, a lot
definitely
of that
agree.
has to
You
go back.
want people, yeah. Well, yeah, you
Go
want
ahead.
people around you that actually like care and want to kind of bring everything up with you, right? You don't want to have to like rely. You don't want to have to constantly check in on them and tell them, hey, do this, do that, because that's not really what it's about. Um, we're kind of here to build a nice community, and on top of that, our team has to be passionate about the project, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And you have to have like similar like minds, and once you have that and everyone's on the same page, it all just flows.
You have to be able to have some process by which you reignite the spark of passion day by day, month by month, because it's very easy to get passionate about something and literally never thinking about it the day after that. You know, so that's why I like doing these AMAs, because anybody who is far enough along in their project that they're here on stage doing the AMA, they've got something. They've got that spark of life. They've got that ambition, whatever you want to call it. Um, and maybe we should do a podcast about how to keep your passions up, because that's a very interesting topic that everybody's talked about for thousands of years, right? I mean, Shakespeare thought about it and wrote about
Ooh.
it, and um,
I
We got a
really
modern day
love that.
Shakespeare right here.
I
I
couldn't
would
hear
love
you.
that podcast.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think things like that are on the horizon. Sort of get together and talk about a broader topic, um, and different figures from the community. Is that something that you guys would be interested in, Lion Slayer, One Buck, if we had a sort of a large
Yeah, for
collection of
sure.
different community
Dude,
leaders and
definitely.
things? Yeah. Okay. On that note,
No, that sounds awesome.
if anybody in the audience wants to ask a question, I think now is the time. We are at 75 minutes, and that's sort of like the perfect length to start wrapping things up after 75 minutes. In the meantime, um, how do we want to handle these whitelists? Should people open a ticket, or should they DM you, or should go ahead and tell us how to handle the whitelist?
The easiest way would definitely be to open a ticket in the server, but if you'd like to DM me as well, I'm pretty often around, so I can get you quite quickly as well. Oh, we didn't discuss the donations. Good point, Roboto. Thank you. So minimum of 5% from every sale will be going towards women's charities. So things like the Malala Foundation. We're going to be having 5 different ones. Uh, and they're going to be, we have 3 in mind at the moment, and then the last 2 will be decided by the community itself. And so a portion of each sale will go into each of these foundations, just because we believe a lot that like women are kind of who got us here, right? Strong women who have been a part of our life, who have influenced us in so many amazing ways, and we want to give back. Because there's a lot of crap out there right now, and it's not really okay. And then if we actually manage to sell, I believe it's over half, Gray was saying, we'll be upping it to either 7 or 10%. And that will be going as well into the same foundation.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Roboto? Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Um, I think that it started out a little bit ambiguous, and then, man, we really honed into some interesting questions, didn't we?
I think we really did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
And I mean, if
Yeah,
anybody
I mean,
has
I
any more
definitely.
specific questions, we're happy to answer anytime. Just reach out, honestly.
awesome. So I will I will give whitelist to everybody who asks questions, and if there's any left over, I'll give them out to the paid Fear versus Greed members. Of course, thank you, Lola. Thank you, Roboto, for being here. Thank you, SB, and all the other audience members from Fear versus Greed. And I suppose most of all, thank you guys. Thank you, Lion Slayer and One Buck. I know how busy it is. I know that you guys are getting DMs right now, right? I mean, you get DMs all day long when you're in a project, and
Dude, like I wake up in the morning and I have like 50 different messages from people. It takes me like half an hour to an hour to go through it. It's actually ridiculous, but I
no,
love it.
yeah, I love it. I love it too. I mean, I have to admit that um, it's good, but I'm the same way, and so I really appreciate your time because I know what it's like.
Well, we really appreciate you having us and giving us kind of a platform to tell you guys about what we're about. And yeah, we'd love to work
When's
with you in the future.
when's your mint date?
Our mint date is May 20th,
I
so
knew
it's
that,
coming
but
up
I just
pretty
wanted
quick
you guys
now.
to say. I apologize for not bringing that up. I like to bring that up at the beginning
Oh, you're okay.
and at the end. But yeah, May 20th, mint date. Mint cost is what is it, 1.5 AVAX or what is it, 2 AVAX?
So it's 2 AVEX for the full price. Our T1 waitlisters, which have been people that have been around for a while, because we've been building this for months now. That will be just around 0.75. And then our tier 2 waitlisters will be 1.25.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so
Um,
it's a tiered system just to kind of reward the people that have been with us for a while,
and
and who have just really helped build the community.
will that be on NF? Is it NFT trade or is it NF trade, right? Come on, am I right,
I
guys?
have no idea.
Um,
We're on Palau actually,
on what?
because Palau is like a Palau. I'll post a link
Kalau.
in the chat.
Yeah, post a link
Yeah,
in.
so it's a fully AVAX focused NFT marketplace with a decent amount of volume per day, honestly.
What's your
And we kind of
royalty?
5%.
And is that automatically distributed, or do you guys have to access your contract to retrieve the royalty?
Oh, sorry, my headphone just died. Could you?
Yeah, is that automatically distributed, or do you guys have to interact with the contract to retrieve the royalty?
No, so that'll be
That's
automatic.
automatic. Yeah.
And do you guys have that set up to go to one wallet or to multiple wallets? I'm just curious because I'm into
Currently,
this space.
no, for sure. So currently we have it set up for a one single multi-sig wallet. So it'll be protected by 3 different people currently, and then we want to add community members as well onto it. So there's an extra level of security.
Yeah, I have a project called DreamFi, and I have we're going to have a whitelist NFT, and we should have that very soon, I imagine. We're so close. We actually, anyway, long story short, um, it's the royalties are going to my wallet. However, we never talked about this. I mean, I'm just waiting for the other devs to find out. But we may change that before we launch the contract. But yeah, currently it's going straight to
Oh
I
no.
I will distribute it equally. But as far as our investors go, the whitelist is given out for free, and I'm paying the gas. Nobody is. How come you guys decided 5% royalty? I mean, I tossed around some numbers, and everybody told me 10.
We really think that 10 is too high.
Hmm.
5 is a good amount that kind of encourages trading as well, and you're not going to be losing a huge chunk of money off every time that you make a trade, right?
Yeah, well,
And like
it's
it's also
different. It's different things because I'm using an NFT for a whitelist, and
yeah,
the value is going to zero. I mean, after the pre-sale is done, the NFT will only be sentimental. Um,
for sure.
and so I just want to make sure
And I
that
think
if people sell it, that they're getting enough money for it that it's meaningful for everybody. You know what I mean? Like I don't want people to sell it for 20
definitely,
bucks. Although if they want to, that's up to them as well. I mean, it's a free market, and I totally understand that that is going to happen to some extent. Um, anyway, yeah. So 5% does make sense because it encourages trading. 10% discourages trading. I would agree with that as a trader.
oh, are you a big trader?
Well, not an NFT trader, but yes, I traded the equity markets for years, stocks and honestly options, like 99% options.
Oh
I went
man,
from stocks to options in like one day. I mean, as soon as I started trading, I said, "Wait a minute, these options look way more, um, I don't know, way more interesting, I suppose." But
right?
if
Yeah, it's
if
your niche. It's
if
interesting.
if there was a 10% tax on options, it would be the scandal of the century. I mean, nobody would trade options anymore. One of the big boons to trading in the stock market was the introduction of feeless trades, and crypto is sort of the same way. I mean, there are fees, but they're sort of hidden into the mesh, it's basically the spread. The spread is the fee, right? And then then most sexes have their own fee on top of that. Um, but yeah, there was a time when it costs like $7 to trade a stock, and that was extremely low. I mean, that was like seen as a great price, but it's $7 to enter and $7 to exit. Now, if you have $1,000 to trade with, that's 1.4%, right? I mean, that's terrible. How are you gonna make money trading if you lose 1.4% every time you change your mind? You have to be able to jump in and out of trades. You have to be able to enter a trade, exit the trade, enter the trade again like 5 minutes later because you're trying to make up your mind and you're trying to time the market and you're trying to get that perfect entry. Um, in other words, it was impossible. I mean, if you have $100,000, $12 is like really, or $14 is really not that bad. But if you have $1,000, it's brutal, absolutely brutal. You know?
No, definitely, and that's why we want to keep the fees down, right? Because people are going to do what they want to do, and we don't want to penalize them off that.
Yeah, and you want there to be a healthy trading market. You want people to go, oh, this card is. Oh, that's an interesting point. I know we're at the end of the AMA, but um, the meta will be fixed, won't it? Because the cards won't. Will you be able
I
to
feel like
alter cards?
no, you won't be able to alter cards, but over time we will be introducing kind of new mechanics and new cards and new NFT releases to the game, so the meta will change over time.
I see.
Um, yeah, we don't want to keep it just one basic stagnant meta.
And
We'd love to kind of keep developing on that.
it's possible to have a static meta. I mean, N64 games have a static meta. Rocket League,
Very true.
Rocket League has never changed anything. I mean, they've added new cars, but they're not as good as the original car, and or they're equal. And they've never once changed the mechanics or any of the physics or anything. It was the same meta from day one, and so it is possible. Anyhow, thank you guys again.
And that's where the fun is, though, is whenever you start changing up the metas, that's the fun of the game, is developing a new strategy to either beat the new meta or gain from the new meta. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. That's the challenge of a top player in a game, is to evolve with the meta and push the meta to new limits, to discover new ideas, and to challenge the other people who are supposedly top competitors, you know?
Exactly. And I've always been an off meta kind of player. So I really look forward to kind of skirting between the lines and seeing what I can do, you know?
I love experimenting with off meta stuff, but you also have to know how to, you have to know how to win. And oftentimes
Oh, yes, you
that
do.
does mean what does it mean? It means being on top of the meta, not sideways to it
Definitely.
or whatever. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I know I said goodbye and then
Yeah,
then
thank
I
you.
sucked you right back in. Um, uh,
That's all right, bud.
let's see. Are there any more questions in the? I think that's it. Thank you guys so much. I'll get you the YouTube link here shortly.
Amazing. Thank
All
you
right.
so much again for having us.
Have a
Yep.
great
Thank
day,
you.
guys. You're welcome. Bye bye.
You too.
Yeah, you guys as well.